You're listening to Creatives Crushing Anxiety, the podcast for online business creatives looking to minimize their anxiety and maximize their productivity through systems organization and time management. I'm your host, Dia Darling. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Creatives Crushing Anxiety. Now, it is about mid-January, and this is, I think this may be my new official setup for the show versus sitting at my desk, because I'm using the ring light and it just, I like it. But it's weird because my computer's here, and so you may see me look down. I feel like I'm on Marie TV right now, like in the chair, whatever. So I wanted to do a 2020 recap in the fact that I did 20 for 2020 last year, and it may be hilarious because obviously in December or January of last January, I had no idea we would have a global pandemic, domestic terrorism, all the crazy things that have happened this year. So the first thing that I put on my list was radical self-love. I definitely leaned into that this year. Part of the reason being that I was able to, because I didn't have some of the outside distractions that come when you're trying to have a social life. When you're stuck at home, like all you really can do is reflect and be in that radical self-love. The second thing I put was downtime. Had a shit ton of that. Family time. Actually, yes, I know a lot of people did not see their families. For the most part, I have been completely quarantined except for my best friend's family. So I was very, very strategic about going home and seeing my family, especially towards the end of the year. I went once every month, I think starting back in October. So I think this is probably the most that I have visited since the year my grandmother passed away. And that was because she was slowly getting sick, and I went to say goodbye before she passed, and then she passed the next week. So I went back, and then I wanted to be there for Thanksgiving and so on and so on. So 2015, that's when that was. So yeah, last year of 2020 was probably the year that I spent the most time visiting my family. So I spent a lot of time with my family for love. Ugh. Can you date during a pandemic? Not totally ready to give all the details on that, but I did experience a lot of love in my life, and it's not necessarily romantic love. Spending more time with my family, tons of love there. My best friend had a new boy. I call him my son too because I love the shit out of that kid. I did experience a lot of love, and I think part of that came from when I started playing in the field of gratitude and expressing gratitude for things and actually allowing myself to just feel things and be excited about things. So there was lots of gratitude, which equals lots of love and lots of really good feelings. And then also some of the work that I've been doing, I've been able to work with so many people that I freaking adore. And that's just a daily reminder of how much love there is in the world. 5, leave the country. Let's just all pause together to laugh at that. So, I've never left the country. Not this year, not in a year. And I was supposed to go to the Bahamas in June, but of course, pandemic happened. So that did not happen, but it will happen one day, so I'm not stressing out about it. Taxes. I did really, really good with this. This was probably the first year that I was super duper responsible and like made the quarterly tax payments on time and saved every month. So I'm actually looking forward to doing like the annual taxes this year, because they're not going to be like, yo, bitch, give us a bunch of money, because I've been giving them a bunch of money all year. Journal on the beach. Yeah. So last year, and the reason I know why I wrote this, last year in December, I was in California and I had a kind of a free-ish day, and I went to the beach and I journaled, and it was so therapeutic and so beautiful, and it was wonderful, and I love California. But sadly, that did not happen. There are beaches here in Texas, but I did not go to one. But that's okay. There will be another time for me to journal on the beach. Work out. I did do this. Not like really heavy. I didn't get back into Zumba the way I wanted. I did have like some dance days, but I did do a lot. I got my steps a lot, and that I'm really proud of. More friend time. I kind of want to laugh at this one, but I did technically get more friend time. And the way that I got it wasn't the way that I expected, but I had Zoom calls with people. I got to see people actually who have moved away that if there was no pandemic, it's not like I would have got to hang out with them. So there was a lot of friend time, just not the way that I expected. More adventure. More adventure. This year was definitely a fucking adventure. It was an adventure, not the way that we thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that was a win. More development. Definitely lots of self-work between, like I said, being here and being able to have that radical self-love this year, and just to really zone in on what mattered to me, what was important to me, what I was feeling. And then also some stuff that I'm doing personally, like with my finances and plans that I have this year. I definitely did a lot of personal development and life development. Like, I feel like a real adult. I'm in my 30s. It only took 3 decades, but I feel like a stable adult. More visibility. I did actually do a podcast episode about this towards the end of 2020, where I talked about how my word of the year had been visibility, and that I had shown up, but not in the way that I originally thought that I would, but that I had still been really, really visible. I've definitely gotten in front of way more people than I ever have, and it didn't look the way that I thought it would, but it felt so much better, and it felt aligned in the way that it needed to happen. Radical joy. It was all about being radical. Yeah, I've been really, really, really happy. Yeah, I've had my down days, and yeah, this year, like I said, was but yeah, I really kind of leaned into the joy and doing things that make me feel good, and sometimes that is watching Grey's Anatomy for the 100th time, episodes I've seen a million times and can literally quote. Sometimes that looks like going to my best friend's house and just getting baby love and kisses. Hanging out with my sister, asking each other random hypothetical questions. What would you do if yada yada? Like, I've just really embraced the joy, and that again ties into the gratitude piece. Boy, bye to toxic friendships. Yeah, I have really been protective of my energy, because while I feel like I had a good year, I know this year was not a good year. And I have removed myself from situations and called out people on their BS. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I have decided what will and what won't work for me. And that actually will tie into the one after this next one. But the next one is no more self-shame or guilt. I kind of feel like I got a loophole in this one, because part of my no more self-shame or guilt was going to be around saying no or asking for what I need. And obviously the situations didn't pop up as much as they normally would have had we not been in a global pandemic. But I definitely was like, yeah, no, this is how I feel. This is what I need. This is what I want. And I'm very proud of myself for that. But at the same time, it wasn't like, hey, Dia, let's hang out. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to. It was like, no, we're in a global pandemic. And then the next thing was boundaries. Definitely didn't get to express those as much, because like the pandemic created boundaries, but I did set very clear boundaries about what was okay and not okay with me, especially with clients, which I think is really, really important, because having proper boundaries and honoring those and stating those and respecting those can be the difference between a healthy client relationship and one that makes you want to cry yourself to sleep every night. New things, food. I'm gonna say no. I started eating tomatoes this year, so that's something. Pretty much just been eating the same stuff. Maybe that will expand, because I did get an Instapot for Christmas, so maybe I'll make some new recipes. 18 was books on books on books. So I'm going to say this was a win because obviously I went home a lot, which meant listening to some audiobooks, but I actually got my report from Audible, and it said that I've listened to over 120 hours of books this year, and 104 of those hours were nonfiction and 19 were fiction. So I feel like I did pretty good on that. 19 more biz connecting. It's again one of those iffy ones. Probably didn't happen the way that I thought, but I definitely did make way more connections in 2020, and I did it in a way that felt good and it felt aligned, and the people I was connecting with were the right people. So I'm gonna say that's a win. And then number 20, getting my expert on. And by this, I think I meant really just stepping into my power and my knowledge and putting that out there into the world. And I've definitely done that. Like, I'm coaching in 2 huge programs right now, and I show up confident, I show up ready, and it's because of my experience and my training, my certification, all of the things that I've done over the past several years. I feel like I really can show up now in a way that feels good. So it was a 20 for 20. Did that in 10 minutes, so I'm sorry if this was really fast. And then, so my word of the year for 2021 is growth. And I think if you do words of the year every year, things shift and change. And as you experiment with life and you grow your business and you get more like stable in what it is that you want to do, I think that they change from like visibility, sales, 100K a year to really like doing some of the inner work. And for me, growth doesn't necessarily just mean like a number on a spreadsheet or a follower count or an email subscriber count. It means really growing more into my personal power. And some of the ways that I'm doing that this year is just like heaps of self-reflection, heaps of checking in with myself. I'm going through different programs and just really tapping into like my highest version of myself that makes shit happen. But yeah, so that is my recap of my 20 for 20. 20? It's a lot of 20s. And also my word of the year again, growth. I will catch you next time.
This has been Creative Crushing Anxiety. For more podcast episodes, visit diadarling.com. Did you enjoy this episode? Then go ahead and leave a review on iTunes. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Catch you next time.